All right, let's get to the Guardians now, guys. There's no apologizing. There's no apologizing for the Guardians or apologizing either. The Guardians did what they do, which is take two young players that, first of all, there's not a lot of excitement about the Guardians right now.
None.
We're talking about them minimally because they did nothing in the offseason to get us to talk about them more. If they had made a sexy free agent signing, there would have probably been a day we spent a half hour on it or more. If they had made a big trade, we probably would have done a. We've spent time on the Guardians here in the last month, but it's been minimal time because there hasn't been that much to talk about. The season is starting in 8 days. By the way, the first official game of the Major League Baseball season was this morning at 6 a.m. and the Dodgers beat the Padres, rallying late to win 5. Their line, the 2, 3, 4 the Dodgers lineup. Crazy. Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, and Freddie Freeman.
As good of a trio.
As good as I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just three of the top
5 hitters in baseball.
5 maybe, not 5, but 3 of the top 10.
Once upon a time, we used to do things like that in Cleveland, but we don't have any money for the 30th year.
Oh, we have money. Now, once again,
no money.
Once again, the Guardians wasted money on Matt Dolan's Senate campaign, which he lost in the primary yesterday. Matt Dolan has run to be a Republican senator for Ohio twice in 3 years. He's lost both times. They've spent millions of dollars, that family, on that campaign that could have been spent on an outfielder. 100%. 100%. They have wasted money. He was never going to win. He's not Trumpy enough to win a Republican election, and he was not going to win.
Bull is an omega-level slander of politics, bro.
I think this year they wasted $17 million on this
campaign. $17 million this year for Matt Dolan, who couldn't be more boring if he tried. Nobody was going to vote for him. They're going to vote for that nitwit Marino, which they did. So there you go. So, all right, here we go. I side my track with my slander.
Can I start with this
Republican
this
politics.
thing first?
Yes.
So we saw the news yesterday. We all expected it. This was not surprising by any means.
Yeah, I went on a rant and did not say who the players were. Kyle Manzardo and Chase DeLauter.
I get why they do it.
No.
I get the benefits in the long term of why they do it.
Fine.
I get the theory behind saving these guys, calling them up in April or May, saving that extra year of service time. But, here's why they're 100% wrong. And I'm looking at my phone because I don't want to get any of these numbers wrong because it's that big of a discrepancy. You ready? Manzardo, whatever. If he wants to start in the minors because you have Josh Naylor at first base, fine, so be it. Okay.
No. But you could have. What about DH? They don't have a DH
at all.
You could have finagled it, whatever.
No. They're both equally unacceptable. Don't give them a pass.
Fine. If you could make the case for Manzardo, I'm going to make the case for DeLauter and why this is a travesty, not just for the Guardians as a team, but for the fans as well. You ready for this?
Go ahead.
In spring training this year, the entire spring training, here at Chase DeLauter's stats, he's a .520 batting average. That's good. Very good. 4 homers, 10 RBIs, a 1.640 OPS. When he was a high school hitter, mashed. In college, as a freshman, 382 batting average. As a sophomore, 386. As a junior, 436, 8 home runs. He was on track to be the #1 overall pick in the draft before he got injured. That's why he fell to the Guardians. In the minors, right? Step up in competition. He hit 355 and 214 at-bats last season. 355 and 214 minor league at-bats in the Guardians' minor league system.
Yeah.
He mashed there. Gets a chance to go against spring training professional pitching. Now, those guys won't all be major league pitchers. Granted, he hit .520 with 4 home runs to lead the team. His 10 RBIs also led the team. They're going to send him down to give Estevan Florial the chance in center field. You want to know what Estevan Florial's numbers are against the same spring training competition that Chase DeLauter hit .520 against?
105.
He's batting 171 this spring in 41 at-bats, 0 home runs, 1 RBI. His 41 at-bats, the second most on the team. They have given Florial as many opportunities as anybody.
Did they see? What did they see?
Now I'll say this.
So let me conclude.
Yeah.
Chase DeLauter should be your starting center fielder on opening day for the Guardians. I don't want to hear any reason why he's not. And if the Guardians wanted to extend him today, DeLauter, I'd be all for it.
Now, it's actually more egregious that they're not calling up Manzardo because Manzardo has played at the high. Like, in fairness, his spring training numbers, you got to take spring training numbers with a grain of salt. They don't really mean that much.
But he's hit everywhere he's been.
He has. He looks like he's ready to hit the majors. Now, to be fair to the Guardians on DeLauter, he's only played 6 games above A ball. He didn't even play at AA. It's very rare for a guy to go from A ball to the majors and have success. That almost never happens. So I wasn't expecting DeLauter to be on. Like, I didn't, going into spring training, I knew they were going to send down Manzardo, but there was a good argument. The only real argument for DeLauter is killed it in the minors, and he had a good spring training. I can kind of understand why they're sending him down. I know people are frustrated. And in the end, because they have such crappy options, I would have kept him up. But I understand that from beyond. They're not just, with him, I buy that it's not just about service time. Because, again, he played 6 games at AA last year. So he has not played a lot in the minors. It's not like he's Bryce Harper. He's not an all-time prospect.
They don't have anybody.
You still don't want to rush a guy. Maybe
He's going to melt?
No. Well, some guys are negatively affected by failure at the major league level. I would have put him on the roster. The Manzardo one is worse because he is clearly ready to play at the major league level. I don't even know what his minor league numbers are, or his little league, minor league. What his spring training numbers were, because I don't care. He is a major league ready player, and there's no excuse. The only reason they're putting Manzardo in the minors is because of service time. That's it. With DeLauter, there's a little more to it. The service time is.
I'm gonna say something. Hey, listen.
They both should be up.
If I was a young stud, if they drafted me, I wouldn't go there. I'm just sorry.
Well, you have no choice.
Why do that?
You could not sign.
Not if you were a senior in college, you have no choice.
I'm going back to college. I'm going
Actually, you still have a choice. But guys don't usually do that.
Because here's my thing. They are not interested in developing anybody and paying them. They do all these mental gymnastics. They do all this.
Well, in fairness, Gene, most teams do it.
It's not just Guardian specific, but they seem to do it more often.
But at least
not really.
At least those other teams are spending money on regular players. If you're gonna play this game with the young guys, pay your veterans. They don't even do that.
But what I'm saying is, there'd be 12 teams you wouldn't want to sign.
Well, that's fine.
It's not just them.
I'm 12 teams. I don't want to play for y'all because thinking about it, even if you play well, how crazy is this? I could be the best player in team history for the first 5-6 years of my deal, and they're never going to pay you. You know that.
Well, but
you know that.
He's using the Gavin Williams example, where you're not going to get a mega deal with Gavin Williams.
Nobody gets paid. No player on any team gets paid their first 5-6 years.
But hold on. But if you Gavin Williams and Bobby, right?
Yeah.
You know it's either me or you, right now.
Well, they're not going to sign either of them.
That's crazy. The fact that you even know they're not going to sign, that's crazy. They're not going to sign none of them?
But they're not going to make less money between now and then because they're on the Guardians.
But my thing is, like what does that do? I would go into the clubhouse.
Well, a lot of times they've offered. I mean, they did sign Jose Ramirez. They did sign,
and they wasted Jose's life.
Well, but that's a different argument. I agree with you.
He gave them that money back. He was $100 million underpaid.
I said there was going to be no defense of the Guardians, and now I'm defending them. They're no different than 10 other teams.
But that doesn't mean
it's not unique what they're doing.
But
guys are, and if I was a pitcher, I would want to be drafted by the Guardians.
Are the reason those other teams don't get killed for it?
They do.
Because
they're get killed here because we're not talking.
No, because their payrolls is $200 million higher than ours.
No. The Guardians don't have the lowest payroll in baseball.
They did at one point last year.
No, not the lowest.
The A's were
they
always
had one
lower.
of the lowest.
One of the lowest.
Yeah.
What can we get the payroll?
The payroll this season, if I remember correctly, is like 79 or 82 million, something like that.
They're like
the Guardians are 28th.
28th.
How many teams is it?
30 teams.
They said it.
The Pirates and the Athletics are the only two below.
But but what I'm saying is the bottom 10 teams don't spend enough.
Okay, so my thing is, if you're not going to spend, and you're going to say we want to do, we got to be frugal, we got to be right with the pieces we got, we got to get right with this. Give us something, bro. You can't be 28th in payroll.
And not trust your young guys.
Not trust
it's one of the other.
young guys. It's one or the other.
It's not that they don't trust them. It's that they're playing games, and it sucks for the fans. Yes. It's not about the players. The players are not being treated unfairly.
Yes.
The fans are being treated unfairly.
Like, we can't,
that's what happens.
And
the Guardians are screwing the fans.
The reason I'm so frustrated with the DeLauter situation, and man, you make a great point about Manzardo. I was just looking at from first base. You have Naylor. You could platoon him. I get all that.
Yeah.
The thing with DeLauter is, Okay, maybe he's not 100% ready yet. We know sure as hell Myles Straw can't hit. And Florial, I just looked up his professional numbers. He's got granted it's not a ton. He's 150 MLB at bats.
Yeah, but what you're saying about DeLauter is he killed it in the minors. Go look at Florial's numbers in the minors. He killed it in the minors too.
Well, at least let's see if he can do it in the pros. What's the point?
The majors.
Yeah, what's the point in waiting?
My point is, if the Guardians had Shohei Ohtani, they'd screw that up too. They would say you're only going to do one thing. If they had Ken Griffey Jr., they'd never put him in the outfield as that young of a player. That's why when you watch other teams, you see, oh, they got a kid, he's a stud. Bryce Harper's playing day one. Day one.
That's pretty unique. Listen.
All right, so Florial, I got his career.
The Guardians have had some young players.
Yeah, you're tripping here, Bull. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
His career minor league stats, is a 268 hitter.
I don't judge guys based on batting average. What are you talking about?
What number?
Look at his home run numbers.
He's got 102 career minor league home runs.
And what does Chase DeLauter
2066.
What does Chase DeLauter have? He has no home runs in the minors. He's barely hit any home runs in the minors.
Well, I don't know. He doesn't have. He hits 214 at bats versus 2,666. There's a reason he's a career minor leaguer.
There's a reason because the Yankees didn't have. He's barely. How many at bats does he have in the majors?
143.
That's not a lot.
But it's still 143 more than another guy who has been absolutely raking at every level he's ever played.
I know, but he's only played in A ball, Mike.
He's not a kid out of high school though. Like he was a 3-year college player. He's 22 years old.
I hear you.
So we're gonna stockpile him.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll just give him to other teams like Nolan Jones. When are we going to see people?
In the end, I would have given some of the things you're bringing up as no-brainer reasons I disagree with. But in the end, I would have given Chase DeLauter a chance because it would have created some juice. If you had started the season with Chase DeLauter and Kyle Manzardo, it creates a little juice in the fan base. It creates a little juice on the team. And yes, most guys, if they fall on their face, can go back to the minors and still turn it around if they're going to be good players. It doesn't ruin their careers. But in fairness to the Guardians, the Chase DeLauter thing, again, Bryce Harper didn't go from A-ball to the majors, and he's one of the greatest hitting prospects of all time.
Every team would have done what the Guardians are doing.
With Chase DeLauter, every team would have done.
And once again, that's why I started with,
I get it. But some teams would have started Manzardo in the majors.
Which is why I started this whole thing with, I get it.
But some.
I'm just frustrated because the other two options you're telling me are blocking him from being there are Myles Straw and a guy in Florial who I just don't think is good. Exactly.
Well, listen, the Cubs did it with Chris Bryant. They kept him in the minors, and they're a big market team that spends money.
It's not uncommon, and I get why. Again, I get why they did it, and this was to be expected.
But
it's just frustrating as hell.
What's frustrating is that if you were going to do this, then sign J.D. Martinez for a year.
Yeah.
Sign Adam Duvall for a year. Don't tell me you have no spots on your 40-man roster. I don't believe that. You have spots on the 40-man roster. You got to be smart about it. You can't. It's harder to sell us on sending Manzardo and DeLauter to the minors when your other options suck.
I'm gonna tell you
now. You shouldn't force guys.
I guess that's my big point.
You shouldn't force guys to the majors because of that. But still, it would have created some juice and excitement that doesn't exist. There's not a buzz for the Guardians.
I would tell you this. I was listening on the way in. I was listening to Ken Carman. He said something that hit me at the end of the show. He said, "Look, we talked to we talked to Albert Breer.
Yeah,
he's a Boston guy. He said,
Albert Breer's a baseball hater. So I don't.
Well, here's his thing.
He hates baseball?
Yeah,
I'll give him this.
He always likes to take shots at baseball.
He said they don't know who they got on their team in Boston.
Okay,
now let me give you this.
I saw the video that Albert Breer. Okay, that's not true.
You got to give me a little context to this.
So Albert Breer, because for whatever reason he loves taking shots at baseball. I love Albert; he's a good reporter. But for whatever, like you're a football writer. What do you wear?
Yeah.
He put a video of some clip on the Boston News where they randomly interviewed 4 people on the street.
They don't know who these
who didn't know any of the Red Sox players. Well, you think those people know who the Patriots players are now? The Patriots suck. I get if you saw the 4 people they interviewed, they don't know the Patriots either. That was a ridiculous. Albert is totally misleading with that, and he misled the entire Cleveland audience with that comment.
But what I can say is, Boston is a baseball town. Boston it was hyperbole, yes. But one thing that you could take away from that is it matters who you put on the diamond.
Of course it matters. And the Red Sox aren't that good.
And the Guardians, we've been here for such a long time. You don't have Tito no more. Like, you got to understand that their calculus is we can operate as if we have Tito, who's a big shield from a lot of. He deflects a lot of stuff.
Yes.
You go to the game because of Tito. He deflects masterfully at the end of games.
You feel like you get more out of him.
Yes. Yeah. Now,
and we don't know that
they gonna get the full brunt of it now.
Yeah, no doubt. Now the Guardians, I think, have a better chance to win their division than Boston does, because Boston's in the best division in baseball, and the Guardians are not in a good division.
Think about it, Bull.
But
the name that kid.
The team deserves to be ripped. They send guys down to the minors solely, and in Manzardo's case, it's solely because of the service time.
Could you clarify something for me real quick?
Yeah.
When can they be called up so it doesn't count as a full season for their?
I think it's May.
Is it May?
No, it's late. It's late April. Well, it depends. They changed in the latest collective bargaining agreement. They kind of move it. There's not an exact. I don't know if there's an exact day anymore, because it depends how many players that year become. Well, that's really with arbitration, not free agent. I think it's late. It's the last week of April. I don't remember the exact.
So should we expect to see them?
There's two things
by May.
There's two things they mess with. One is this extra year of service time. That's late April or the first week of May. I can't remember what it is now. The second thing is when they're going to be eligible for arbitration, because some guys are eligible for arbitration after their second full year. Some guys it's the third, depending on how much you played those first 2 years.
If it counts,
so they
the full
manipulate
season.
with that too, because once you go to arbitration, you make more money.
Yeah.
Your first couple of years in the majors, you're making essentially minimum salary.
I still don't understand arbitration. I just don't get it. Like you just have to negotiate a deal. Like,
arbitration is awful.
What is that?
So what happens is, if you can't so once you're arbitration eligible but not yet eligible for free agency, you're what's called arbitration eligible. What happens is every year, unless you sign a long-term extension, every year you're arbitration eligible, you have to negotiate your contract for that year. Before you're arbitration eligible, the player has no say in their contract. The team pays you whatever they want, which in most cases is the minimum salary.
That's crazy.
That's the first 2 years, okay? Now, by the third year, or in some guys' cases the fourth year, depending on, at that point, there's a negotiation. So either three things can happen. Either you negotiate a long-term deal and then your contract's set for the next bunch of years. You can negotiate a deal just for that season, which with most guys arbitration eligible, that's what happens. You come to an agreement on what you're going to get paid that year. But for 10 to 25 guys a year, they actually go to an arbitration hearing. And what happens is the team gives you an amount of money that they think you're worth this year. And the player and his agent, they give an amount of money that they think they're worth. And they go in front of an arbitrator, and the arbitrator decides who wins.
Who pays the arbitrator?
I don't know. But I think the league does. But the players do win. It's not like the owners win that all the time. It's a mixed bag. It's probably 50-50.
Who came up with this arcade?
It's terrible.
It's a weird system.
They need to get rid of it. It doesn't happen with that many. I don't think the Guardians have gone to arbitration with anybody in a while. But there were some players. In fact,
still in the minors.
Corbin Burns of the Brewers. What's bad about it is the team is in this arbitration hearing arguing why you deserve less money. So they're basically taking a shot at you. It creates some bad blood.
And then you got to come back and play for them after they give you the money.
Now, it's not the manager that's saying these things.
But it's the general manager, it's a representative of the team.
It's bad.
This is crazy.
It's sour. Corbin Burns, who got traded this offseason from the Brewers to the Orioles, part of the reason he wanted to get out is because he went up in arbitration last year. He'd been one of the best pitchers in baseball, and he got badmouthed in his hearing. So he's like, I don't want to play for them anymore. Screw them.
All right, then I'll catch you later.
Now, the Guardians have done a good job avoiding arbitration, though.
So by May-ish, fans can expect Manzardo, DeLauter?
Assuming they're playing well in the minors. Manzardo will be up by May, definitely. DeLauter is starting at AA. Now, once you're above A-ball, AA and AAA these days doesn't really matter. You could go from AA to the majors. It used to be like you went AA, AAA majors.
Yeah, step by step.
For most guys. Sometimes you'd hop, but now guys go from AA to the majors all the time. But DeLauter only played 6 games at AA last year. Yeah. So at least you could argue somewhat he should play some at AA because the competition
it does jump from
jumps
A to
big from A-ball to AA. That's a big jump. AA to AAA is not as big a jump.